Hi guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. So greatly appreciated. Truly, truly is. Before we get started, let me give you my usual disclaimer. This video is for educational purposes only. Please do not take what I say as fact. Please always do your own research and come to your own conclusions. Next. If you have not liked, subscribed, or commented yet, please consider doing so. It really helps me out and I really, really appreciate it. So we are True Crime at Christmas Time, day 17. And before we move forward, let me just give you a trigger warning that this video involves a child and it involves talks of unaliving yourself. Sort of. We'll get into it. Okay, so Kierra Jackson was born October 14th, 2008 in Princeton, West Virginia to parents Kevin Jackson and Sarah Mullins. She had 6 siblings: Alana, Gabriel, Kamaya, Kayana, Elizabeth, and Kevin. She loved painting, drawing, and listening to music. 14-year-old Kierra Jackson lived in this house on Bluefield Ave in Princeton, West Virginia, with her mother, 40-year-old Sarah, her older sister Alana, and her younger brother Gabe, and her 47-year-old stepfather, Roderick Neal. A neighbor described the family as keeping to themselves. He said that Kierra never came over to play with his children, but that she used to come over to play, and then it just abruptly stopped.
Mike Johnson lives across the street from Kierra Jackson and her family. He says the family pretty much kept to themselves.
So we didn't really see her no more. So we would see her go down to the bus stop and go to the store and stuff like that, but she never came over here and played. She never yelled across the street, "Hey, how y'all doing?" Anything like that.
But he says that wasn't always the case. He tells us Kierra used to spend time playing with his kids, but then she stopped coming over.
He goes on to say that the police were called to that house at least 1 to 2 times a month for some sort of domestic disturbance.
Johnson says the police were called out to the house at least once or twice a month.
And whether it was for him or for whatever, they had been over there, so they should have known. They should have known something. They should have saw something. Like, I just don't get how it went on the wayside and it led to this. It's crazy.
So how did this whole mess begin, right? Okay. In 2017, Sarah was a single mother of 3 raising her children. The father was rarely in their life, so she was basically left to raise them on her own. She would eventually cross paths with Roderick Neal, who was an ex-military medic, and after a very short courtship, Roderick, Sarah, Alana, Kierra, and Gabe all move in together. This is in no way a happily blended family, though. Not even a little bit. Sarah and the children would suffer extreme mental, physical, and sexual abuse at the hands of Roderick, and Kierra was his favorite victim. Her sister Alana was described as troubled and would always be running away because her mother was allowing her violent stepfather to continue living there. Roderick was constantly getting arrested for DV, and her mother Sarah would always take his side every single time. Even if it meant emptying her bank account, she would do it to bail this man out of jail. If CPS showed up to the home, she would threaten the kids to keep quiet and demand that they lie if they had to. December 2nd, 2022, Sarah and Roderick got extremely drunk. Roderick had a blood alcohol level of 0.197, and Sarah had a blood alcohol level of 0.131. According to the police report, an argument began between Roderick and Sarah when Roderick couldn't find his cell phone. When Kierra's little brother asked them to stop fighting, Roderick shifted his anger from Sarah to the brother. It's in Kierra's written statement where she says that Roderick began to buck on her brother like he was a grown man. This is when Kierra stepped in to protect her little brother and told Roderick to leave her brother alone. He began arguing with Kierra, and then he hit her. So, Kierra hit him back, and then the argument escalated. Sarah told officers that she attempted to break up the fight and says that when she did that, Roderick hit her. Police were called. Roderick went outside and he willingly went into custody. December 3rd, 2022. Roderick is bailed out of jail and he is allowed to go back home where Kierra, Alana, and Gabe lived. There were no restrictions and there were no orders placed on him to protect these children. Not by the court, not by police, not by CPS, and not by their mother. This is also the same day that Kierra would mysteriously go missing. We're getting there. Sarah claims that she searched for hours in and around the home and community for Kierra before deciding to go to the police to file a missing persons report. She made flyers offering a $5,000 reward. She made social media posts and she did television interviews begging for Kierra's safe return.
Spent hours looking for her before reporting her missing to the Princeton Police Department. She says she just wants her daughter home safe.
I'm worried and scared. I'm wondering if she's warm, if she's hungry. She left here with no money, no phone, nothing.
Mullen says her daughter is sweet and always wants to make people laugh.
She's very sensitive and caring and kind person. I just want her to reach out and at least let me know that she's okay. It's heartbreaking not knowing where your child is.
The Princeton Police Department says they're actively searching throughout areas of Princeton to locate Jackson.
And wondering if she was okay, saying that she left the home with no money or cell phone, very much making it seem like Kierra had run away. 5 days after Kierra went missing, big sister Alana found her hanging in the basement of the house with her throat slit. It was made to look like an unaliving, but few things aren't quite adding up. When police came to the scene, they confirmed that Kierra died the same day that she went missing. How did you search the entire house? Oh no, you didn't search the entire house. How did you search in and around the house and the community for hours looking for Kierra and not check your own basement? How did you not smell decomposition? And why would Kierra slit her own throat before hanging herself? And how did she get the strength to do so after slitting her throat? Another strange thing that happened was that Sarah took to Facebook right after Kierra was found by her sister in a post that read, "My daughter Kierra is now a beautiful angel laying in my mother's arms. God, I wish I could have saved you. God knows I tried. I love you always, my sweet, sassy girl." I would respectfully disagree with you, Sarah Mullins. More specifically, I think you're full of shit. I do. It's my opinion. Following Kierra's death, the FBI felt it important to join the case. They go to Kierra's school, open her locker, and inside of her locker, they find a diary of Kierra's. The details written inside of this diary are disgusting and shocking, to say the absolute very least. She writes about the physical abuse that she endured at the hands of her stepfather and how her mother, Sarah, allowed it to happen. And she goes on to write about how Roderick had been essaying her since she was 11 years old. 11. And that her mother allowed that to happen as well. The fact that Kierra had the wherewithal to keep a written record of what was going on and to keep it at school is quite remarkable, to be honest. She's clearly a very intelligent young lady. But then it also begs to question, did she think that something might happen? And was this her way of being able to ensure that her voice would be heard from beyond the grave? I wonder, right? I truly think that maybe she had a feeling that she was scared, or maybe she was scared this might happen, and maybe she figured, you know what, if it happens, I need to have my voice heard. I need somebody to know what's been going on. In regards to finding Kierra, I wholeheartedly believe the mother and Roderick knew she was down there, and they just played the waiting game to see how long it would take for somebody to discover her. And if it had to be one of her children, then so be it. I truly believe she didn't care if it was one of her children that found her, just so long as it wasn't her husband. Because that's all she cared about. Allegedly. But not really. Allegedly. Alana took to Facebook after the journal was found in a post that read, "She was so shy and innocent before he came into our lives. I should have known. I should have done more. I should have sat down with her and made her tell me, knowing well she couldn't, because I bet you he threatened her. It's so sad, and it breaks my heart knowing I lived with that for 3 years, completely ignorant to what was happening in front of my eyes. And I didn't see it. I'm at a loss for words. Things weren't adding up last night, and I got my answers today. This is for the woman that I once claimed as my mother. I don't think I could ever feel or even see the same anymore. It really is the closest ones that are secretly evil, pure evil. Fucking shame on you, putting me in a situation to see my sister like that. Shame on you." It's also alleged, but very strongly believed by multiple sources, that Kierra had recently become pregnant with Roderick's baby, and that a day before she went missing, she got a positive home pregnancy test that her mother would later find in the garbage. Given what we already know, this is not a far-fetched theory by any stretch. It would also give a very clear motive for her death if Sarah and or Roderick are responsible for it, which I think that they are, but we have to wait. They're presumed innocent. Okay. A friend of a coworker of Sarah Mullins wrote in a Facebook post, "I have a friend who is a coworker of hers. Apparently a lot more than just the lie from the sister Kierra came out yesterday. And she said they were all shocked and absolutely appalled. She said the same. The Sarah we all thought we knew was not this monster." Okay, side note. The live she's speaking about is Alana in hysterics, talking about the allegations and essentially confirming them. But it's an extremely difficult video to watch, but it's also very easy to find. Apparently, Kierra was pregnant and the mom found the test on the day all of this happened. And that's when she said it was her stepfather's. And the mom allowed all of this to happen. She didn't just hang herself. Her throat was slit and they hung her up. The sister found her yesterday. Otherwise, it's hard to tell how long they would have allowed the search to go on. Anyway, the girl was clever. She kept the journal at school and never took it home. in her locker, and I think the FBI found it yesterday. We will go with supposedly on all of this, but apparently all of her co-workers had done a GoFundMe, which was closed and refunded, I do believe she said. And also, they have donated all their paid days off, and Sarah's work took it back and gave it back to her co-workers. Such a sad, cruel world we live in. I hope the POS excuses for parents burn. I agree with you. The community was outraged that this was allowed to happen, and who could blame them, right? Friends and neighbors of Kierra began speaking out, and protests started demanding justice for Kierra. A woman that knew Kierra since she was little came out to say that she called CPS multiple times and nothing was ever done.
Time she was a baby, she said it was clear abuse was going on in Jackson's home that led up to her death.
I know T. Well, Kierra. I've always called her T. I have firsthand really seen the abuse that goes on in that home.
Did you say you've seen that firsthand?
Yes, sir.
I hate to ask the hard question. Why didn't you step in?
I did. I have called CPS. I have called the cops. I have slammed that mother before in order to help those babies, and they failed that baby, sir. I did step in. They did.
What does that feel like to know that you did what you're supposed to and nothing happened?
It's crushing. Could I have done more? What could I have done when the system's not backing? I can't go in there and leave those kids myself.
The system failed her, and they failed her big time. This was not a case of accidentally dropping the ball. There were multiple calls made to police and CPS. Why were those children never removed from the home and never protected? The community became so outraged that there were even shots fired into the home on Bluefield Avenue, and there were occupants in the home at the time. But luckily, nobody was hurt. Now police are trying to find the person or persons responsible for that. No arrests have been made yet. And of course the community is furious about it. Heck, I'm furious about it. But I came across a post on Facebook, and I remembered that in order for Kierra to get the justice that she deserves, this needs to be done slowly and properly. The post read in part, I know as a community we want something done, but please be mindful that even with them taken in as persons of interest, the police can only hold them for up to 72 hours without charging them. This brings me to my next point of the double jeopardy law we have. A person cannot be charged for the same crime twice. This means that if they were charged for and there isn't enough evidence to convict them, they cannot be charged for that crime ever again. So, for example, if hard evidence came out at a later point that would lead to a conviction, those parents would be able to walk away free because they were tried once and acquitted. Please let the police and proper officials do the investigating as necessary. Yes, it's going to take time, but in order for this to lead to a conviction and Kierra get the justice she so deserves, they need to make a rock-solid case with the evidence and witnesses that are coming out. And it's true. We just all need patience. It's so difficult. If it's difficult for us and for the communities, I can't even imagine what the real family members are going through. But Alana and her brother are out of that home and they are safe at this point, which is all that really matters. So please keep them in your thoughts and prayers, and I will continue to keep up with this story. If you guys are still here, thank you. I appreciate you so very much. And until next time, stay safe out there.